Look how this whole section of the tower just collapsed in one concise block, crushing the lower structure beneath it. It's the remains of a Frankish castle, a little bit of France, here in southwestern Greece. This is from the 13th century, from the time when much of Greece was conquered by various Latin crusader knights and the aftermath of the so-called Fourth Crusade. And here in this bay, there was a battle during the Peloponnesian War in the 5th century BCE between the Athenian fleet and a Spartan army. The Athenians won that battle. And over there, across the bay, is the ancient town of Pylos. Of course, mentioned many times in the Iliad by Homer. Of course, the famous king Nestor of Pylos. But today we're not interested in any of that. Today we're concerning ourselves with something much, much older. I hope you've survived the short shorts and the really tight white top, but it was a hell of a climb getting up here, and it's pretty hot. Anyway, there's a YouTube channel called History Time, done by a guy called Pete Kelly. Definitely some Irish in there. Anyway, in his spare time, you know, when he's not making 4-hour-long history documentaries all by himself, as you do, he has a newsletter in which he writes articles, sort of like written historical adventures. He goes around the world to these sites and he writes about them, and you learn about the history and also a bit of travel and about the whole experience of going around these sites. By the way, I don't know Pete, I'm just a fan wanting to pass on some attention to his good work. Anyway, his most recent newsletter, which couldn't have come at better timing, was about a Mycenaean site 60 kilometers that way. I'd never heard of it, and he's inspired me to go and check it out. But before we do that, there is another site right on the other side of this bay. I thought I'd be able to see it from up here, but I can't, so we've got to go all the way down again and drive all along the bay to try and find it. Let's go. So this is the Mycenaean tomb of Thrasimides. Probably not really Thrasimides, of course, because, you know, semi-mythical and all that, but quite like the nearby Palace of Nestor, which is a major Mycenaean site. There was a craze in the golden age of archaeology around the turn of the century when a lot of these sites were being excavated to name them after and associate them with figures from Homer and such. They didn't necessarily believe that themselves, but it was mainly for, you know, the publicity, the funding, the wow factor and all that. But you have to imagine this tomb with a vaulted ceiling on top of it. And it's actually placed in the centre of a much earlier Neolithic site from early Helladic periods, Helladic 1. I'm going to get out of here because there's loads of mosquitoes in the grass. But this Mycenaean tomb, not quite as old as that, although it is very old. Mycenae, the Mycenaean civilization. Bronze Age civilization existing from about 1800 BCE to 1050-ish, of course. And it's important because you can trace a lot of Proto-Greek characteristics back to the Mycenaean civilization. Let me get my lemonade. You can trace the Greek language in its earliest form back to the Mycenaean script called Linear B, and the Olympian gods are distinguishable or recognizable in some form in the gods that the Mycenaeans worshipped. So, Mycenae, the earliest Greeks? Maybe. It depends how much you want to draw connections and trace a lineage. Anyway, we're going to trace our way over the mountains towards this site written about by Pete Kelly. We're not actually going to go to the Palace of Nestor because as an archaeological site, unless you know what you're looking for, there isn't much to see, or for the camera to, spectacle wise, there's not much to see there. All of the artifacts from that thoroughly excavated site have been, carefully housed in museums nearby, and you have to pay to get into it, which we're not doing today. We're going on an adventure. Must be it up there. This is Nichoria, the settlement that Pete wrote about in his article. And this is another tomb. Much better preserved than the last one. You can start to get an idea of the vaulted ceiling that would have domed this expanse. And aside from these tombs, there's actually little left here at this settlement. Excavations were done here in the 70s and none have been done since, and it's unlikely any will follow. But the existence of these tombs would indicate that the settlement had some degree of importance. It at least had some sort of ruling elite. But as Pete says in his article, who those elite were and how they exercised their control, their power, and over what distance, we don't really know. And for that reason, much of this site remains kind of a mystery. Archaeologists in the 70s were hoping to find another sort of palace settlement like nearby at the Palace of Nestor, but they didn't. Now that doesn't mean that one didn't necessarily exist. Either one did exist and we just haven't found it, or one didn't exist, which would mean that we sort of have to reevaluate how we interpret these apparent elites from this area and how we interpret these tombs. Okay, I'm gonna make a speedy exit because I'm pretty sure I hear snorting, which could be a boar. I do agree with Pete in that the beauty of sites like this, because they're, you know, not so extravagant, is that there's nobody else here. You have the place all to yourself. But unfortunately that means if I'm alone here with a boar, well, I sort of don't want to be. Anyway, the sun is just setting, so I'm going to spin on to Kalamata. I'm going to find a place to stay tonight. Do I have everything? Yes, I do. Well, whoever it was who lived here, they suffered the same fate as the rest of the Mycenaean culture, civilization, whatever you want to call it, in that due to the period known as the Late Bronze Age collapse, they sort of disappeared, beginning in historiography what's called the Greek Dark Ages. Literacy vanished, large-scale settlement building vanished. If you've seen my first documentary that I made 2 years ago now, Searching for Tartessos, it's sort of covered in that, and that has a part to play in the evolution of the Tartessic civilization. Sorry, I'm looking around like crazy because I swear I did hear like snorting and scratching. I'm not going to get out of here. But yeah, no, really nice site, really nice. And as Pete says in his article, it requires imagination to make the most of it. Right, let's skedaddle quick.
Lately I've been staring at the dark. Turn my inner demons into art. Struggle with the pain inside my heart. Wish I didn't care about what they say. What you want to say, 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 what you want to
What? It was literally 2 kilometers. Kalisara. That's crazy. So, taking me on a toll for 2 kilometers. Ah. Hey, I thought I'd just pop in here very quickly to say thanks for watching, and more importantly, Happy New Year! If you're watching in the future, this video is being released on New Year's, hence Happy New Year! I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you're enjoying the through the Visor series so far. I'm enjoying editing it. I must say a big thank you to Pete Kelly for releasing that article with such precise timing. I was sleeping in the tent that night and the article came into my newsletter, and the site only happened to be, 50 kilometers away. Unreal timing. If you're here from, the archaeology history site, I highly recommend reading that article. I'll link it all below. There's a good chance if you're here for that, you already know the History Channel YouTube channel. Big YouTube channel, really good channel. But definitely check out Pete's writing. He's a good writer. The article is a lot more informative than, this very brief synopsis overview I did, just because I could go and see the site myself after reading the article. What a great opportunity. Anyway, if you're watching this, thank you, Pete. Keep up the good work. And if you're anybody but Pete, thank you for watching. As I said, I hope you're enjoying the series. I'm calling this season 1 because I hope to continue the travels further east into 2024. If you just found this video as your first time on the channel and were expecting either more archaeology, history, or more motorbiking, but you stuck around till the end either way, thank you so much. That means a lot. Going further east, I can't say that there won't be a lot more stones. Of course, the videos aren't just about history and archaeology, but a lot of the time, especially in this part of the world, you know, it's a great love of mine, and I love going there and experiencing the sites, talking about them, sharing them. So yeah, there will be more stones, but hopefully more motorbiking, more just, you know, more of the world in general. So with that said, I'll sign off. I wish you all the best for 2024, and yeah, we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.